All right, so this is The Shy, Season 3, Episode 8 review. And of course, it's going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you watch it and then come back to this video. Before I get into it, don't forget to subscribe, click that notification bell, and like and share the content if you're feeling it. So, those of you that have been watching my previous videos on The Shy know that I kind of been down on this season, but I did like last week's episode. And I really liked this week episode. Episode 8 was really interesting for me, partly because I worked with people that had mental health diagnosis. So, in a lot of shows, when you see a traumatic event, a lot of times they don't get to the aftermath. How did this traumatic event affect and impact the particular person or character? And how does it impact their loved ones? Because when somebody goes through a traumatic event, it doesn't just impact them, it impacts everybody around them, everybody who loves them. And I think this week episode did a good job of capturing that. So one of the things that I really liked about this episode is that they focused entirely on Keisha and they didn't waste time with the other storylines. Because I think it would have been a mistake and it would have threw off the vibe if they was going back and forth between Keisha and, let's just say, I don't know, Trig and Jake and Duda storyline in a mayor race. I don't think this was the episode to really shine the light on those other stories. So I'm glad that they stuck with Keisha and the other characters all revolved around what happened to her and her returning home. So some things got wrapped up this week. Last week I was curious about whether Keisha kidnapper was still alive or not. We got that answer this week. Keisha killed him with the crowbar, and deservingly so. I mean, he did capture her, raped her, had her in the basement for what, 2 months. So no tears is being shed over that. And we also got to see Keisha mind state on episode 7. We saw that she was thinking about suicide because she didn't see a way to escape, but fortunately, Ronnie was able to find her. Now, you see in this episode that Keisha is completely different. And as you can see so far in this review, I'm going to let y'all know I'm going to get a little bit deep in this review. Come to the deep end with me. We're not going to be in the shallow end, just shallow end. Even though I can't swim at all, but that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that. But anyway, back to the subject. You see how Keisha is completely different. It starts off with her going to her room, and of course, Dre packed up her room without consulting Nina, and she noticed things is out of place. And you also see her concerned with her safety, more so than any other episode. She checking the window, make sure the windows is locked. She put in a chair by the door. She grabbing scissors, not sleeping. I mean, she just a completely different person right now, which is to be expected because she just got out of the hospital. I'm not sure how long she was actually at the hospital, but this is going to be a long, long process of her trying to get back to some type of normal life, and you can't rush these type of things. And you see how everything's affecting her, not just the kidnapping, but what other people's doing with it and what other people are saying. She's looking up, seeing that people were spreading rumors about her, and that's probably the worst thing to do. If you have a situation, focusing on what other people that don't know nothing about the situation is saying is the absolute worst thing you can do. You'll drive yourself crazy doing that. But that's what she's doing. She seeing all the things people were saying about her, and you could tell that really is affecting her and really hurting her. She also had some other bad news. She lost her college scholarship, you know, and she was really looking forward to getting out of Chicago, and that's just an unfortunate event. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that actually might be a good thing because I think she needs a little bit of time to adjust. But you can't tell her that, and nobody want to hear that at that particular moment, especially because she worked so hard to get that scholarship. You know, and that's something that probably will happen in real life. I don't know what the time frame was, but you have certain deadlines you have to meet with school. You have to secure your spot at a certain time with a deposit. There's certain things you have to do to make sure that you confirm that you attended the particular school. So obviously she was gone for 2 months, and however long she was in the hospital, and she probably missed some deadlines, and that's why she lost her scholarship. And yeah, that's just not what she wanted to hear at that particular time. Now, let me know. I want to ask y'all. I want to ask y'all. Do you think that was the right time to tell her? Me personally, I would have told her a little bit later. Even though she said that I can't wait to get out of here and go to college, because she was upset at the moment. I probably would have waited maybe you know a couple days to actually sit her down and actually tell her what's going on. I probably wouldn't have broke that news to her at that particular point in time. Y'all let me know. What would y'all would have did? Would you would have told her that at that particular moment or not? Because I'm curious. Because I don't know if it's the right answer with that. I can't say that it was wrong for doing it. I'm just saying that I personally wouldn't have done it. But it's a tough decision. It's hard. It's a hard call. I don't know what the right answer in that particular situation is. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go. Um, I'm not going to go scene by scene. How I do my reviews, I like to go by characters. And since this episode was focused on Keisha, I'm going to go into Keisha relationship with each character in this particular episode. Now, Dre and Nina, I'm going to combine them together because their storylines intertwine. So, obviously, Dre been overstepping her boundaries by a lot. you know, like let's just say, how you say people cross the line? Like she didn't just cross it; she sprinted across the line. She's like on the other side. She just doing way too much. She being overbearing, um, and you can tell that Keisha is not her real daughter or biological daughter, just from the way she acted. Now, you do have step parents and people that adopt children that's, they not blood, but they treat them like their own. This is not the case. Dre is showing quote unquote concern, but in my opinion, it seems like her concern is more about her life going back to normal rather than how Keisha is doing. And the first episode of the season, you see that Dre and Keisha don't have a good relationship to begin with. So the first thing she did by overstepping her boundaries was in last week episode where she packed up all of Keisha's stuff in her room without consulting Nina. Nina is Keisha's mother. You gotta consult her before you do something like that. Like, who does that? That's crazy to me. Absolutely insane to do something like that. This week it continued. She didn't learn her lesson at all, not even a little bit. She she invited Keisha quote unquote friend over without consulting Nina. Again, Nina is Keisha's mother. You her stepmother, but y'all only been married a couple months and y'all don't even have a good relationship. So you definitely need to consult Nina. before you do something like that. And you invited a friend over without doing any type of research. This particular friend talked to the press and basically was saying some stuff that Keisha didn't appreciate, like, she hearing crazy rumors and she don't know what's going on, etc., etc. And you could tell this wasn't really Keisha friend because, she just saying inappropriate stuff. She talking about sexual relationships. Now, Keisha just been kidnapped. And although she didn't tell anybody that she was raped, you could assume as much. And you should watch what you say around her when it comes to things like that. Of course, she don't care. Keisha asked her about what everybody's saying, and she tells them. And she tells Keisha without, any regard to what Keisha might be feeling. She's talking about people saying that it was a publicity stunt, that her kidnapper was her real father, that her and her kidnapper had a relationship, all sorts of stuff, and basically making the situation much worse. Much worse. So again, Dre's just messing up all over the place. She's saying the wrong things. When she was talking to Nina, um, I guess it seems like Nina might have had some type of sexual assault in the past because she asked Dre, "Have you ever been violated?" She says no, and then she's like, "Well, you can't understand." So to me, that seems like Nina might have had some sort of assault in her past, and Dre gonna tell her, just because you broken doesn't mean she have to be. I mean, like, that's like, who says something like that in that particular situation? Again, it's showing that Dre is more concerned about things going back to normal rather than the situation at hand and dealing with the aftermath of Keisha being kidnapped. Like, yes, you do want to push her to go to therapy, but you have to do it in a certain way. Like, it only been a few days, you know, like she just was released to the hospital, and you are more concerned about yourself and sleeping in Nina's bed instead of being concerned about how Keisha is doing. That's my take on it. And I know the fan theories is that Dre has something to do with the kidnapping. I still don't believe that. Um, I guess we'll find out in the next two episodes, but I don't see that happening. I just think that Dre just concerned about herself, and she really don't care about Keisha like that, just because they don't have that type of relationship. So that's what I'm thinking with that situation. Um, Also, Nina is being as understanding as she can be with Keisha, but I think she didn't do a good job with Kevin. And what I mean by that is that Kevin is a is an adolescent. Adolescents go through changes, and a lot of times they don't act as mature as they should. So Nina should have prepped Kevin about how Keisha is going to be different, and you need to give her some time. And if she snap and do stuff that's a little bit different, don't make a scene out of it because she's going to need some time to adjust. I feel like Nina did not prep Kevin at all. And they want Keisha to go to therapy, but really the whole family need to go to therapy. Because again, like I said in the beginning, when a traumatic event happened, it doesn't just affect the particular individual, it impacts everybody. And it was a traumatic experience for the whole family. So really, the whole family need to be at therapy. And again, like I said, I'm going to get a little bit deep into this, and that goes into some of the problems we have in real life in society. Not all insurances cover mental health. It depends what type of insurance you have. Um, so some people can't afford it. And I really think that most of us could use some type of therapy. It doesn't mean that you're crazy, but we all have pressures. Everything in our past have led to us being what we are today. So our experiences make us. So that's why we view situations differently, because we didn't have past experiences with certain things, and it shaped our worldview. And that's for everybody. And I think it's good to reflect, and I think therapy is a good way. Therapy counseling is a good way to reflect why we the person we are right now. Why do we look at things through a certain lens? I think is beneficial as a whole, and I think we need to take mental health seriously in this country, which we don't. You know, we don't take mental health as seriously as we should at all, at all. I don't want to get too off topic, but that was some of the discussion with the defund the police. Didn't mean get rid of police departments. Like with defund police, some of the funds they want to go to mental health, because you call police officers to deal with people with diagnosed mental health um, issues, you know, or mental health diagnosis. Police officers are not trained for that. You should call a mental health professional. A lot of these facilities are terrible. What are we doing to address mental health early? So this is a bigger society discussion, and especially like in amongst the black community, because we see a lot of stuff. This country didn't put us in a position where, um, unfortunately, we have a lot of trauma. And I think we could definitely use a bigger conversation about mental health as a whole, whether it diagnosed mental health issues, whether it's pressures from the job, whether you feel you are an outcast, everything. So it's a big deal. But back to Shy. Um, yeah, I think Nina could have prepped Kevin a little bit more for that, and he should be at therapy um, as well as Nina and Dre, since they married. Now, understand some of Kevin reactions, but not all of them. Um, understand him wanting to go out and chill with his boys, because Nina was locked in her. I mean, excuse me, Keisha was not locked in her room or the bathroom for 3 days. Like, he doesn't just want to be cooped up 4 days on end, even though his sister is back. He's an adolescent, so I can understand that reaction. I understand him not knowing what to say in this situation, but I don't understand him really being a brat and saying stuff to purposely hurt Keisha. Especially because he was so hurt that she was gone. It was kind of odd to me, some of his reactions. And again, part of it is Nina could have prepped him better. But some of the stuff he was saying, like, if he wasn't out there on the streets, this wouldn't have happened. And, a bunch of different stuff. So, I don't know. The situation wasn't handled correctly. Kevin was getting on my nerves this episode. He definitely was. But it is what it is. So, also, Papa, um, talking about 30 pieces of silver and trying to give Keisha the tip money he received from the kidnapper. Like, why would you do that? Why would you think that's a good idea? That's stupid. Now, to throw Papa a little bit of bell here, he did have a contact high, and I guess the weed was making him paranoid, so he wasn't quite in his right mind. So that's the only excuse I could give him. Now, everybody was saying the wrong thing this episode to Keisha, except for Emmett and Jada. Now, Emmett did the best job out of everybody in cheering Keisha up. He saw her, hugged her, and he was being a true friend, a true friend. When she was telling him about what everybody is saying, he really was just like, gave the best advice anybody could give her. Like, you don't listen. People don't know what they're talking about. Don't listen to that. That's what a true friend would do. Now, compare what Emmett said to her so-called friend that came earlier in the episode. It's a big contrast. So, Emmett did a great job. They brought food. She wasn't eating for days. They actually got her to eat. They got her to laugh. But of course, Nina and Dre came out and ruined the moment. Well, really, Papa ruined the moment. And then with the trying to give her the tip money from the kidnapper, and then Keisha snapped and was like, why didn't y'all find me? I was right down the street, which, is kind of unreasonable because how would they know she was right down the street? But at the same time, it could be seen as progress because she actually did express something instead of just looking at the wall. So even though it was angered, you could look at it as a little bit of progress. Um, Jada, she's a social worker, so I think her talk with Keisha was pretty good. She related, she told her about her experience of being assaulted by a family member, which unfortunately that happens way too much. And there's a lot of secrets families are holding. So, that's unfortunately that is not uncommon. You know, um, so Jada did a great job in relating to Keisha, talking to her. So Emmett and Jada, they they get applause this episode. They about the only ones. Um, Ronnie, right? Keisha invited Ronnie over, and this is I don't know, man. Like y'all let me know what y'all think about this. I think Nina and Dre need to be a little bit more grateful to Ronnie. They Keisha wouldn't have been found without him being so persistent in finding her. And they still kind of just treating him with the cold shoulder. Like when he knocked, Dre opened the doors like, "What's up?" Like, what you mean, "What's up?" Like, can he get a thank you? I mean, Kevin is the only one that actually thanked Ronnie so far, which is crazy. So, do y'all think they should be a little bit more grateful to Ronnie, or do you think their reactions to him is appropriate, being that he killed Kubi back in season one? I don't know, and he's still a drunk and stuff like that, but he did save Keisha life. So I think they should be a little bit more respectful towards him. When he left, he didn't say nothing to him. To me, like you know, that's just a little bit weird to me. But anyway, so Ronnie and Keisha is talking. I don't think Ronnie gave the best talk at all, but who looked to Ronnie for wisdom? Like, does he really talk? Like the way he talks be killing me sometimes. So So Keisha was like, I'm looking forward to getting out of here in Chicago and so such and such. And Ronnie just like, yeah, the city got a way of just grabbing you and pulling you back. Like, yeah, that's very hopeful, Ronnie. And the other thing too is like she thanked Ronnie. Keisha is appreciative of what Ronnie did. But Ronnie said that, I should be thanking you. You was the light in the tunnel. You gave me purpose. And you can look at it two different ways. One, he's being honest and Keisha could appreciate that. Two, she could take it as like, so I had to get kidnapped and held in the basement for like 2 months for you to have purpose. So I don't know if that was the correct thing to say in that situation, but I don't know. Y'all let me know. What do y'all think about that? And I understand this is hard because sometimes I think we are uncomfortable with silence, but sometimes you just need to sit back and listen. When it's a awkward situation, sometimes we tend to over talk. We seem to think we have to say the perfect thing. Sometimes you can just sit back and just listen. You know, so you see that Keisha, with everything that happened, she burnt her clothes, and I was just like, you burning your clothes, and the shower curtains right there. You're gonna burn down the whole house, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, she got her left eye on and started burning her clothes, basically because she's feeling that maybe she wasn't dressed like that. She might maybe she wouldn't have been kidnapped. Now that can go two different ways too, because I know people say that, and Nina said this too. It doesn't matter if you were naked walking down the street. That doesn't give them a right, and that's absolutely true. Like no matter how anyone is dressed, that doesn't give anybody a right to touch them or without their consent or assault them. You know, that is victim blaming. However, we're gonna keep it 100. The way you dress sometimes in positions you put yourself in can cause extra attention. So that is something that we do have to be real about. Now, in this particular storyline, I don't think it was the way Keisha was dressed. That wasn't the reason she was kidnapped in this storyline because, oh boy, the kidnapper seemed like it, it seemed like he might have been watching her for a while because he had a track obsession, and he said that Keisha reminded him of one of her one of his exes. So for this particular storyline, I don't think the way she was dressed had anything to do with it. What had more to do with it is dude being a sicko, plus her being out when she wasn't supposed to be out. You know, being out by herself late at night. I mean, because she's still young, but she's only 18. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's a difficult thing to talk about. You know, and a lot of times it doesn't matter if you had turtlenecks on with a lot of these cases because in a lot of sexual assaults, a lot of rape, oftentimes it happens by somebody you already know. It does happen, like a stranger. In this case, a stranger kidnapped you or been stalking you, but a lot of these cases happen like a lot of women get assaulted by family members. I shouldn't just say women too, but like women, young children, boys and girls. A lot of times they get assaulted by family members, family friends, um, somebody with position of power, somebody they know. That's oftentimes how it is done. You know, so it's just so much to discuss. This was a good episode. This really was. This really was. Like I said, this is the type of stuff I look at. Um, I look at how realistic stuff is, and of course, if I'm watching something like the Avengers or something, I'm not looking for. I'm just looking for action. But in a show like this, I'm looking at, okay, is these reactions realistic? And for much of the season, I thought the writing was sloppy, but the last two episodes I really liked. And I think that, especially this episode, and I think if they didn't drag out this kidnapping storyline for so long, maybe the season would have been better. But we won't know. We won't know that now because I like to see more of Keisha adjusted. I really would because That's a big thing. When anybody suffer a traumatic event, doesn't just have to be sexual assault. You know, I dealt with people that had PTSD from military, from the military, from a physical assault, from just traumatic events happening in their childhood. It lives with people forever. It just about, okay, how do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? You know, to me, it would have been real interesting if they would have, shortened the kidnapping storyline a few episodes ago and go into more details like they did in this episode with her getting back into society, her coping. Because, yeah, that is really interesting. Like I said, good episode. What to look forward to next? I do want to see how Keisha adjusts. Um, I don't think Dre and Nina is going to stay together because I really don't like Dre. Her character can get thrown in bushes, somewhere. Not feeling her character at all. I think Tiffany is going to find out about Dom, and I think Tiffany and Emmett relationship. I don't know how that's going to work out. I really don't. Um, you still got the Jake Trig Duda storyline. So I'm assuming we get more of that next week. But we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I've been down on this season for the most part, but it's getting a little bit better, especially this episode. So hopefully we end this season on a high note. So thanks. Let me know. Comment what y'all thought of the episode. Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And of course, if you're looking for more of my political content, which is Politics. That's where I'm putting my new political content in at. If you want some of my old political content, it's all on this channel, But from now on, putting all political topics on Politics. It's AMIN. But and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. And thanks for all the new subscribers. Thanks for the comments. Definitely appreciate it. Especially if you watch this whole review because it's going long, about 30 something minutes. But thanks, definitely appreciate it. Peace.